Hey you guys, it's Britt. Today we're here to deliver a video that I mentioned a little while ago that was kind of on the back burner. Now I'm ready to deliver this video regarding Tradwives and the kind of dangers and issues that can come along with being a Tradwife. I know that this video is going to be very it's going to be full of people saying, well, I did this and I was fine, or my friend did this and she was fine, my mom did that and she was fine. That's great. If it worked out for you or somebody that you know, that's wonderful. But I want to talk about the conversation that a lot of former Tradwives are having on social media about it not working out. And the fact that divorce rates are very high in the United States, and that's where most of these stories are coming from. And we're just going to talk about the other side of it. So if you're interested, please keep watching. Okay, so let's just start at the top. And what is the definition of a trad wife according to the internet? Trad is short for traditional, and it goes trad wife, traditional wife. And it's this entire idea of what is a traditional view of wives as mothers and homemakers. So this is a wife who does not have a job outside of, and I say a job because obviously, yes, caring for children is a job, but they don't have a job outside of the home. So they don't have a job outside of caring for their children and earning their own income. They are expected and do stay at home and raise the children, cook, do laundry, and the husband or the other spouse is the one whom goes out into the workforce and makes all the money and is outside of the home all day. Now, anytime I come up with a video topic like this, there is usually one creator or one video who gives me the idea for sharing commentary and bringing it to YouTube. The creator that gave me the idea for this video, I've been watching for a few months now. Her name is Jenny, and Jenny was married and she was a Mormon, and basically she was a trad wife, and we're going to hear from her so she can tell her own story. But her husband was unfaithful to her. He was, how can I say this? He was engaging with ladies of the night and ended up, it was exposed, and she ended up wanting a divorce, and the Mormon church tried to encourage her to just stay with her cheating spouse, which is a whole nother issue. But she got out of her marriage, and guess what? She had no money. She had no resume. She had no education. She had nothing to her name, and she ended up living in her car. And I realize that that is not the story for everybody, but when you have no money and you might not even have any credit, how are you supposed to go and get a place to live? They're going to want to run your credit. They're going to want a security deposit. And a lot of these women are trying to do this while also still caring for children, still having that financial obligation of, I'm a parent, so you have to make sure that your children are eating and they're clothed and they're safe. And it's just really tough. So before I babble too long, let's hear from Jenny, and then I will give my thoughts throughout.
I want to start this video by saying that I'm not asking for money and I'm not asking for sympathy. What I'm asking for is, if you are a young 14, 16, 21-year-old girl, listen up. I drove to the grocery store. I need to grab some milk and bread and a couple things, flipped open the pink app on my phone, and I've been sitting in my car crying ever since because I never have enough money. And why do I never have enough money? Because when I was a 19-year-old girl, I fell in love. My Mormon faith told me that I was supposed to be a stay-at-home mom. I got married. I started having babies. I dropped out of college. I never had a career. My only jobs that I ever had in life were a waitress at the Olive Garden and managing a pretzel maker in a mall. Oh, my first couple years of marriage, I decided that I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I bought a windshield business. I was 20. And my Mormon stake president reminded me that women weren't supposed to work, so I quit my own business, handed it over to my husband, took my name off of it. I would work our family business throughout the next 24 years of my marriage, but I never got paid. I didn't have a salary. My name wasn't on it. I literally worked for room and board. That's it. I would eventually also launch a custom home building company with my uncle as the architect and my friends as the builder, my designs, my realtor. But again, because my husband was the man, his name was on all of the projects, his name was on the business. I remember one of the last custom homes that I built, we sold it and made about a $260,000 profit. That money all went into his bank account. I didn't even have a bank account. I should have said that in the beginning. I never had a bank account. He would give me little envelopes of cash to go grocery shopping with. Anyway, that house sells, the money goes in the bank. I just asked if I could buy myself a piano with the money. I had worked on building that house for 2 years. All of the money went into his bank account. Nothing was under my name. I got a piano and I got a free house to live in and I got groceries. So I found myself divorced at age 44 just 5 years ago, and within just a few months I was living in my car while he made about $250,000. He would eventually quit that job so that he wouldn't have to pay out.
We're going to hear from a divorce lawyer later in this video, and the divorce lawyer and other attorneys that I've heard talk about this Tradwife lifestyle, if that's what you call it, the number one thing that all of them have said is either have a prenup and, or even better, have a prenup and have, make sure you have your own account. Make sure that you have your own account and make sure that you are, you're managing the joint account that you have so that you know how much money is actually coming in, and make sure that you're just well versed in your finances. And there should be, aside from the money that's going to help buy groceries and clothes and stuff, there should also be an allotment set aside for the individual account for the wife. It's just so scary to sit there and think of a situation like Jenny, so many others going through the same thing. You get married young, you start having children, you don't have any work experience, and or you have some, maybe some retail work experience, and you might have dropped out of college, or let's just say that you go through college and you have your degree and then you become a tradwife and you don't do anything with that degree. Places that want to hire, will some of them understand a gap in your resume? Some of them will, but it's not a guarantee. It's not an industry standard to sit there and review a resume and understand every single person who has a gap in their resume. That's just the way, it's the cold hard truth of working in corporate America. Resume gaps are not always accepted by the higher ups and whomever is hiring for the position.
In child support, he has only paid alimony one time ever in the 5 years since we've been divorced. Once ever. Right after my divorce, I remember being really confident about my ability to get a job, so I put together a resume. I remember one of the first interviews that I had was a management position for a windshield company, similar to the one that we had run. And the man actually laughing as he was interviewing me, like he was really sympathetic. He wasn't being a douchebag, but he was laughing. And he's like, so let me get this straight. You helped manage your family windshield business with your husband, but you were mostly a stay-at-home mom, and all you did was like the marketing and the hiring, firing, and some of the strategy for the business. But it became really apparent that I needed so many more skills to have it.
Imagine allowing your ex-spouse, the mother of your children, allowing her to live in a car. Allowing her, whom brought your children into this world, to live in her car with no money and no hope, no nothing. She's living in her car with nothing. Disgusting.
Any type of management job. I couldn't even work the basic computers. He told me in the interview, please don't apply for any more jobs like this. You are not qualified at all. You're not capable of doing this unless you go back to school and get your degree.
And I think what a lot of people miss too, I'm just going to pop it in here because there's a comment that says, sue him for back child support and then claim fraud embezzlement since he placed his name on project's finances that were not his. And Jenny responded and said, "With what money, babe? Takes money to litigate." And that is that's the biggest thing. Everybody wants to talk about, oh, we'll take them to court, sue them, sue that. Suing somebody is expensive. And that's just not a feasible answer for most people that are coming out of a marriage whom have nothing to their name. Most of them are worried about, how am I going to eat and where am I going to live? And how am I going to make sure that I can take care of my children while doing everything else? And going through the heartache of your relationship crumbling.
Some different experience. And so I ended up, my first job after my divorce was $11 an hour, 4 hours a day, working as an assistant to a school teacher in an elementary school. I made $44 a day. For 24 years, I lived in $1 million homes. I vacationed all over the world. I spent my summers in Hawaii. I could buy myself $500 jeans, diamond tennis bracelets. We had boats and RVs and whatever I wanted. And it never bothered me once that my financial security was dependent on that man being in love with me.
So I will link Jenny's TikTok down below because she has been talking about this for years. And she has so many videos going into really precise detail of the stories that she's telling. She is somebody who is able to just focus on the really, what some people might consider minuscule details. And she's been doing it for years, and her story has struck me. It's remained consistent the entire time. And I think that having somebody like her continue to share such a consistent story is one of the ones that should be heard loud and clear. So I want to jump over to one of the divorce lawyers, and let's hear what she has to say. It says, one piece of helpful advice for Tradwives from a divorce lawyer.
I've been watching a lot of TikTok videos about the Tradwife movement, and I think if you go watch any of my videos, you're going to know like how I would feel about that. But I have one piece of advice, because I do support women's right to choose their own lifestyle, and I'm happy for you if you choose that lifestyle. I'm trying really hard to support that. But I have one piece of advice, okay, so you don't end up like my clients. If you ask women from that generation, the traditional wife generation, the 50s, 60s, etc., they were not financially incompetent. A lot of them were responsible for paying the household bills. You know why? Because having to pay household bills is a huge pain. Balancing a checkbook is a huge pain. But when I asked my grandmother, those were all things that she did. So this is my one piece of advice. If you're going to choose that for yourself, if you're going to choose to be a traditional wife and be a homemaker, I support that choice. Manage the finances. Manage the finances as part of your role. That way you'll always know what's in the bank account. There should be a joint bank account. His paycheck should be deposited into the joint bank account. And you should be entitled to copies of his paychecks so that you can see that all of his paycheck is going into that joint account and not just a portion of it. And you guys should decide together what you're going to do with that money. And you should have access to that money if you need to buy something, even if it's something for yourself that he doesn't agree with. If you can do those things, you're going to be okay supporting the traditional wife movement. If you look at tax returns, if you get copies of tax returns, if you know how much money you have, you know how much money is being invested, how much money is being saved for retirement, you're going to be okay. You're still going to have problems if there's a divorce. We can talk about those another time. But my one piece of advice for the women that want to do traditional wife lifestyle.
And here's the thing. If you are in this arrangement and you have your separate account where money is going into, just in case things fall apart, you have access to this money. If you make it to age like 70, and obviously, your marriage is still going strong and y'all are retired at this point, then that money can go to a vacation or renovations to your house. Like, it doesn't mean that money is going to be wasted, but it is there just in case. And I still am a strong I am a really strong, I have really strong feelings about making your own money while in a marriage. And I realize that for some people, that's just not what they want to do. And like I said, if that has worked for you, that's your choice, great. But the reason that I'm really glad that this conversation is growing is because I think it's allowing people, not all, but some, to say, well, what if? A man is not a plan. A spouse is not a plan. A partner is not a plan. You should have your own plan no matter what. And even if it's, you know, not making a whole lot of money, if you're able to do something to generate a little bit of revenue for yourself and put that away, I think that's better than getting divorced, having somebody walk out on you and not having a penny to your name. Or the other option would be to deal with infidelity because you don't want to leave the marriage. So you just deal with it so that you don't have to move out of your $1 million home and go through that. And that sucks. You're trashing your own dignity because of this lifestyle. And I don't know. I think that's sad, and I don't think that it's a requirement of people to do that. Now, I want to listen to this other attorney, Brian Packpour, and let's hear what he has to say.
As a California divorce lawyer, I don't hate on Tradwives. I don't celebrate Tradwives. Frankly, I just worry about them. One of the comments on the post that I stitched kind of encapsulated why, and they said that you never see Tradwives in their 40s on TikTok celebrating being a Tradwife or stay-at-home mom or whatever. That's because you'll oftentimes find these women who are in their late 30s, early 40s, still with school-age children, in an office like mine trying to figure out what options they have now that their marriage is over. That's when they discover they're going to have to fight for every little bit of financial support that they get, and it's not going to be nearly what they were living off of before. The children that they've grown accustomed to seeing every single day of their lives are now going to be spending half their time in a house that they don't even get to enter. And if they were lucky to save up any financial resources, they're probably going to be spending it on someone like me to fight for all of this tooth and nail. I see people comment things like, well, that's why I went and got a college education and worked a little bit before I got married, so I'll be okay if things don't work out. Because you've been out of the workforce so long, you can't get a job making that kind of income anymore. Yet your ex and the court will kind of expect you to anyway because, well, you have those credentials now. So how do we fix this? How do you still have that kind of life but protect yourself? This may surprise you, but the best way to protect yourself is with a prenuptial or even postnuptial agreement. This agreement will state that for every month that you stay home and take care of the kids or any other domestic duties, your husband will place a certain amount of money in a separate account under your name, and that money will be your separate property. The amount of money is up to you, but my suggestion is always 1/2 of whatever it would cost to hire someone to do the same kind of work that you're doing. Now, the key to doing this right is during the marriage, never letting your husband come up with any excuse not to make that monthly deposit. And trust me, they'll try to come up with a lot of excuses. Just remember to stick to your guns. It's your future that you're trying to protect.
So he made really good points. Actually, you know, of course, I'm no attorney, but I agree. I fully agree. And his caption says, if he won't agree to this, he's not the one, sis. And the top comment says, this is me. I was a Tradwife for 20 years just so my husband could walk out when he turned 50. Now I have no job skills and depend on him for everything. Don't stop working. It's not worth it. The families I know doing Tradwife are barely getting by month to month. Trust no man, have your own funds. As an ex-Tradwife who was dumped when he found someone else, I worry about them too. My parents raised me against being a Tradwife and to be able to support myself because trust is slim these days. My husband just packed up and left for another woman. I got a camper, $5, and a broken down car. Had to restart my whole life like I was 18 again, except with 3 kids. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be a stay-at-home mom, but you still need to have options. That's exactly my point. Keep your options open. Don't fully rely on your spouse. Like, that's just not a feasible way to go through life, in my opinion, for what it's worth. Now, I also want to go over to this girl, Rachel. Rachel decided to just totally snap off on people. She put her lifestyle out there in great detail And then she got mad when people had an opinion about it. Typical influencer behavior, but let's listen to her rant and then I will give you guys my final thoughts.
Stay-at-home mom, what are you going to do when your kids go to school? Not go back to work. No, thank you. Truly, you would not believe the amount of times people ask me that question. I'm like, yes, my kids are young, and so being home with them right now is essential.
I hate her attitude the entire time. It's the demeaning, it's the acting as if she is too good and too busy to even consider having a job. I get it. Being a mom is a job, but let's also not act as if you are above being in the workforce, because you're sitting here now from your $1 million home where she talks about having a golf cart and taking her kids to school and being involved in all the sports and stuff. You would have none of that if your husband did decide to walk out on you, which, look at the divorce rates in America. I said it in the beginning of the video. People can say that would never happen to me. Be careful. Be careful when you are stomping up and down saying that will never happen to me.
I have a 2.5-year-old and a 9-month-old. But once they're like 3 and 5, right? So preschool and kindergarten, or once they're in like kindergarten and 2nd grade, I'm not going to go back to work. They will have different needs, right? We will be in activities at this point. I will be a room mom. I will 100% be PTA president. I'll be volunteering. There will be a lot on my plate. My responsibilities will change. It's just like parenthood, right? Like when you have a baby that needs help holding the bottle, you have to hold their bottle. But once they're able to hold their own bottle, you have that time back, but you just feel it doing something else. It's a very real hypothetical. In 5 years, I will have a kindergartner and a 2nd grader. My days will probably look like this. We wake up, I get myself dressed and I get breakfast going. Then I will go and get the kids up, get them dressed. Once they're dressed, we're going to get outside, get in the golf cart and go to the elementary school, because we don't have buses because we live in the same neighborhood as our school, but it's not far enough to drive, but it's too far to walk. It's the whole thing. But so that'll be that. And then I'll come home and then I'll start on my day, right? So I'll have any errands that I need to run. I'll go to the store. I'll start prepping on dinner. I will be cleaning up from breakfast, taking care of myself, and also working full time because I do create content. So my days will look relatively the same, right? When my kids are at home, just kind of free playing, independently existing, I will be doing a lot of the similar things, though I won't have to pack up 2 kids into car seats when I go and run errands. The bulk of the day will be the same. But with my kids having the ability to do things more independently gives me the ability to give them more responsibility, but also allows.
Okay, girl, I had enough of you in that video. Let's move on to the other one where she said that her husband is not going to leave her. She is just so sure of this marriage that she is in. It's wild to me because I cannot, like, here's my thing. Nothing in life is certain. The good, the bad, the indifferent, nothing is forever, nothing is guaranteed, nothing is, the good times aren't going to be forever, the bad times aren't going to be forever, like all of those like cheesy sayings, it is actually really true. And nothing is guaranteed. And if you care enough about yourself and you care enough about your children, which you do care about your children because you want to be at home with them as much as possible, I think that it is also important to have some kind of safety net financially, because if something were to fall apart, then you want to continue to be able to provide for those children. So let's listen to this video and then we'll be done.
Understand the argument that working moms say to stay-at-home moms, and this is typically a working mom to stay-at-home mom or working dad to stay-at-home mom conversation. Like, I would never be able to financially rely on someone else. Like, what if he died? What if he leaves you? One, not planning on those things, so I don't have to worry about my husband leaving me because he's not going to. Cool. 2, if he dies, 1, we have life insurance. 2, I would obviously pivot. Even if I was working full-time, if my husband passed away, like, obviously I would pivot.
See the attitude that she has, cool, he's not going to. People are going to clip this video when years from now, if something were to happen and she announces that she is getting divorced, they are absolutely going to come back to this video with her just disgusting attitude that she has in this video. It's very off-putting. I would be willing to listen to her opinion if she wasn't so rigid and cruel about it. There is a way to communicate without being an asshole. Newsflash, She wants to say here, newsflash, working parents rely on non-working parents. If you want to listen to a working mom who is extremely passionate, follow Paige. Like, girl, pipe down. Relax. It's okay.
But let's talk about the financial freedom thing. Like, my husband makes the amount of money he is able to make because I am able to stay at home with our children and watch them. Because by me not working saves us over $50,000 a year in childcare. I'll just put it at that. But he relies on me so much too. Like, the man without me wouldn't have clean clothes. He wouldn't have food in his fridge. He wouldn't have a relationship with his children. And not because he doesn't try, but because he doesn't have time. He works too much. And I'm not saying he works too much, but he works too much to do those things. So we adjusted our lives to where I could do those things. But these kinds of comments, I work and I've juggled all that happily. It is such a dig. It is such a, well, you're just a lazy piece of shit that you don't want to enjoy it all. And it's just rude. So Sarah, I'm very happy for you.
Okay, cool. So I'm just really put off by her bitchy attitude. I want to read a couple of the comments. Somebody said, I was a stay-at-home mom. We were never going to divorce. I knew this in my soul until he left. Just be prepared is all that we're saying. Somebody else said, it's just the what if he leaves you thing that I've seen so many times. Being stuck is terrifying. My mother said the exact same thing. My husband would never leave me until he did after 20 years of marriage. Stay-at-home mom here. My husband got dementia and got fired. Don't depend on anyone else. Anything can happen. Someone else said, update me in 10 years. Someone else said, my mother thought the same thing. My father found a new woman before the divorce was even final. My mom is in rehab. Never say never. It does happen. Unfortunately, I stopped working to take care of our toddler, and 1 year later, he left me. I was shocked. So obviously, you know, all that you have to do is look at the numbers in the United States for divorce and separations, and, you know, how many, my God, I mean, divorce lawyers in the United States must never run out of clients, because that's just the time that we're living in. People walk away, and, you know, even if you say never, ever, ever, obviously it can still happen. But I just don't like her attitude. Somebody else said, oh honey, married 15 years, 4 planned kids, never would have seen it coming. I said the same thing as you. Luckily, I am an RN. I thought my husband would never leave me, then he left me for his coworker after 20 years. So either way, obviously a lot of, you know, this is a very hot and cold conversation. And I try to, you know, I'm trying to look at it from the stance of, if it's working for you right now, that's fine. But if you're going to jump up and down and scream with certainties, then maybe you're just unteachable. I'm not really sure, because I also have a huge amount of compassion for the people who have been on the other side of it and recognize why the Tradwife, people that understand why the Tradwife trend is harmful. And it really shouldn't be a goal for somebody to only do that. I'm only going to graduate high school and become a wife. Backup plan, financial, you know, having some financial backing, some financial security to lean on. I think that's what most people are just trying to say. Prenup, savings, and, you know, try to earn a little money by doing something so that you're not literally left, you know, you decide to leave and you're, you know, living in your car. Or you have to deal with being cheated on so that you're not homeless. It's a tough spot. So either way, I can't wait to see what y'all have to say about this. Be respectful in the comments, please. I think that most of y'all will be, but once in a while I will put out one of those videos that just goes totally left. But hopefully we can all have a conversation about this. So for now, if you like the video, please leave a like in the comments. And if you'd like to see more from me in the future, please subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.